Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's power session. Very excited to be talking to you this week as we are in a time that allows us to really harness some powerful energy, some great reflection. We're coming down to Q4 of 2020. We are getting an opportunity to both see how we want to finish this year. We're noticing the toll that this year has probably taken on many of us, if not all of us. So things are catching up with us. Reflections are occurring. Being able to go back and reflect on what this year has brought to our attention, in what ways this year has challenged us, even if I could be so bold, the blessings and the gifts that this year has brought to us in our lives, if we so choose to interpret them as such. It is a really exciting time to be able to consider the measure of our life. And we tend to do this in very particular increments. We tend to do this in terms of weeks and months, and in this particular case, in terms of a year. It has been quite a year. I think about some of the things that I participated in at the beginning of this year, and they feel like a decade ago, more so than any other year that I can remember in quite some time. But what a plethora of lessons to be learned. What an opportunity to be able to focus on one of the greatest powers that we have in terms of our mind, which is one thing that we are measuring at Habit Finder, as well as trying to teach our clients to participate with, as well as teaching them to wield and magnify this gift, and that is the gift of metacognition. And we want to talk about some tools today to be able to be more intentional with our metacognition. And our metacognition is just a fancy term for our thoughts, thinking about our own thoughts, our ability to go into the future in our mind and even go into the past. And we have a tremendous opportunity this year, or this week, in a week of thanks, a week of gratitude, for many of us at least. Doesn't mean if you're not in the United States that you can't take the opportunity to make this a week of gratitude and reflection. I'd like to give you some particular tools, some particular perspectives to make that as productive as it possibly can be, to be able to allow it to make an appropriate impact on where you go from here by being able to revisit the past of this year and even beyond, and understanding one of the greatest superpowers that we have and how to harness that into action and ultimately into results. So thank you for being here today amidst everything else you have going on. I hope to honor that time by giving some great tools, some great insights to take your life forward. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Power Session. My name is Paul Blanchard, president of Habit Finder. Excited to be with you today on this week of Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving on Thursday, here in just a couple of days. This is a wonderful time of year when we really get to the spirit and the heart of the holidays, to be in reflection and, more importantly, to be in gratitude. I want to talk today a little bit more specifically about gratitude, because it is a tremendous weapon. It is a tremendous resource, but is one that I see a lot of us using ineffectively. A lot of us have been taught to consider gratitude in certain perspectives and certain realms that allow us to lose some of its greatest gifts, some of its greatest benefits that it has to offer us, not because we're using it wrong, but we're not using it completely, and maybe just perhaps using it out of context. And so in this week of Thanksgiving, of giving thanks, of harnessing our gratitude, I hope to give you some perspective, some tools, some insights to allow you to be able to do this just a little bit more effectively, not just this week, but any week. You know, we get an opportunity to honor mothers and honor bunny rabbits and Easter eggs, and we get an opportunity to honor, veterans and all kinds of things. But none of those should be isolated incidents. None of those should be the only days that we do those things, that we honor those people in our lives. This is just a great reminder to check in with, if anything, how frequently, how consistently am I using the power of thanks, the opportunity of gratitude, and am I using it to the fullest extent possible with my current capacity? So today we're going to talk a little bit about gratitude, hopefully to offer not contradictory definition, but additional substance to the power that is gratitude. In its simplest form, to have gratitude is to give thanks, is to appreciate, is to be able to find the gratitude and what we're grateful for, and hopefully experience some of that energy. That's in its most basic form what we're looking to do. Most of us are taught that to be grateful is in the context of be grateful for what you have, be grateful for where you are. However, many of us have been conditioned to receive that as a stop sign, as the light turning from green to yellow to red. And now it's time to stop and be grateful and look around and smell the roses and not try to advance, not to try to create more, but not slip backwards and not be frustrated and play victim. It has been taught in many circumstances, in my experience, as a neutral. Pull it out of gear and find the gratitude. And there are times, I believe, in our lives that is necessary, where we have been driving so hard forward or even driving so hard backward that it is important to just stop for a moment and take inventory of what we can appreciate, what we're grateful for, getting the opportunity to harness that kind of energy that we will want to be able to understand. However, I want to take it a step further, because in our experience at Habit Finder, gratitude is one of the most powerful weapons for forward motion that you can find out there on the planet. Yes, it is one of the greatest weapons for forward motion, for getting into action, which is interesting because this is a time of year where we have so many symbolic reminders and so many environmental reminders of gratitude and reflection. Yet it's also the time of year that we tend to kind of reel back a little bit in terms of our creation and our dream creation and our business building and our drive and passion-driven action that we're taking. For a lot of people, it can kind of take a back seat. We can let off the gas a little bit. And in that case, when we have a reason to, we let off the gas a lot. We start creating these all or nothing situations where we start realizing how much time we put into our business. So we've earned the right to put no time into it for the next month or two, or to just kind of cruise through it in neutral. And gratitude is a great place for us to get grounded. Gratitude is a great opportunity for us to be able to alter perspective. And it is tremendously important to me as well, Nikki. It's an opportunity to really create a connection to where we are currently at. I want you to think of gratitude as the most powerful weapon you can use to get present, to be totally available to the present moment. Now, gratitude is not just an appreciation for the good stuff. That's another limiting factor in gratitude. Gratitude is an appreciation for all of the stuff. It's an appreciation for everything we are currently experiencing. It is an appreciation for the gifts that we have, for the ones we haven't utilized, the ones we have, the ones we've wasted, the ones that we have optimized. It's gratitude for the people in our lives that make us feel incredible inside, and the people in our lives that challenge us and can irritate us. It's an appreciation for all of these things, okay? We have the opportunity to not just, if I could be so bold, glorify God in good things, but to glorify in all things. The opportunity to be able to find gratitude in all things. We'll want to understand that this gratitude is a weapon for forward motion. It is something that, when harnessed appropriately, when understood correctly, can allow us to drive forward. Now, a video was sent to me recently by a dear friend of mine that I did a year ago, I believe, when I used to do What's the Point Wednesdays. And I decided to do one up at our cabin the day before Thanksgiving and talked about this very subject, talked about gratitude, and gave one of my favorite definitions now. When they read it back to me, I was like, I said that? That's awesome. So I had to write it down. But a year ago, I said, gratitude is the readiness to act on feelings even after a long time has passed. Gratitude is a readiness. It's a readiness. It's not a settling in, turn off the engine. It is a fuel. It is an ability. It is a desire to spring forth even after a long time has passed for those feelings. So often we get excited about something, we get passionate about something, and inevitably run into our unhealthy habits of thinking, run into our procrastination, and we feel like we lost the window of that passion. We lost the window of that excitement. And I guess that's not what I want to do anymore. That's not what I want to be able to move forward on. That's where gratitude comes in. We find what we're grateful for. We find the things that we appreciate. All of it. Not the judgment of positive or negative or good or bad, but all of it. A total appreciation to be totally present with where we are right now. And then we have the opportunity through metacognition to recall. If we are present in the now, we can recall that excitement. We can recall that reason we wanted to do that at that time, and we can replant that seed now and move forward regardless of how long it has been, regardless of the stories we want to tell ourselves of missed opportunities. So I pray that many of you get the opportunity this year to consider gratitude as fuel for forward motion. To consider gratitude not as lidocaine, as much of the world uses it, to numb your current frustrations, to get tunnel visioned on the half of the glass that is full and miss the tremendous lessons that come from the half of the glass that is empty. To bring gratitude into the equation so you can unleash your curiosity about the benefits and the lessons of all of that is what I hope that we will do to find, as I said a year ago, the readiness to act on feelings even after a long time has passed. That is the power of gratitude. Now, you all know, those of you that have been following for a while know that I love my words. So, of course, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to break down the etymology of the word gratitude itself because it teaches us some really beautiful things. Gratitude, simply put, right up front, means a good will. A good will. And if we break down the good part, we find that it is an advantage. It is a benefit. So if we're going to harness gratitude, we are going to have an advantage. That's awesome. We're going to have a benefit. We're going to be in an advantageous and beneficial position. What? To act, to move forward. That's the will part. The good will is not just a feeling of goodwill. It is both good and a will. It is good because it is advantageous, it is beneficial, and it is a will as defined by a determination to act by choice. That's what will is, a determination to act by choice. If you have lost your determination to act by choice, not just to choose, it specifically says to act by choice. Choice alone, talk is cheap, can be verbal vomit, it can just go nowhere. But to act by choice, specifically said, that is the benefit of our gratitude. That is the reason we will want to find ourselves daily grounded in what we are grateful for, experiencing it with the intent to use it. Not just the intent to feel grateful, but the opportunity to get the advantage and take the action determined by choice. A conscious state of that readiness to move forward, that opportunity to harness our gratitude productively, to be able to use it. So as you consider the measurement of your gratitude this year, pay attention to how you finish the year. Pay attention to what goals you start today rather than wait for some moniker or some monument like January 1st, okay, to be able to take on. I would challenge you as a demonstration of your advantage to take action by choice, determined by choice, that you at the very least treat December 1st as your new January 1st. Who wouldn't want a head start in a race? Who wouldn't want a head start in a project and what you're trying to create in winning in your life and getting an opportunity to get a head start on 2021, not by trying to forget about 2020, but by bringing the tidal wave of gratitude that is waiting to be mined from the depths of the challenges of 2020 might just produce one of the greatest forces on this planet for creation and entrepreneurship and what we want to see happen in our lives. Huge distinction, Bunny. Thank you. It's not just a choice. It's not just a decision. They are defined as such by the action that we take as a result of determination of those things. That's the only way they become an advantage. The only way they become a benefit is to make a choice, to make a decision, to cut off from the noise, the emotional payoffs we used to get from our comfort zones, from playing small, and having an opportunity to be able to take the advantage that gratitude offers us is such a wonderful opportunity. Last thing I want to break down for you today is just to understand one of the core axes of personal development, of creating success, comes down to your interpretation of what you resist. At the core of all personal development, we find this to be one of the ultimate fulcrums, the ultimate pivots, turning points in your life is the interpretation of what you resist. If you can change, and gratitude is the readiness to do so, if you can change your interpretation to what you resist, you can change what you can create. Because it is only in what we pursue, what we refuse to avoid, that we are able to create. Whereas too many of us are running into an obstacle and looking for shortcuts. And some of them are very interesting shortcuts. Some of them even have some lessons of their own right, but guess where they all come back to? The thing that you are avoiding. We can manufacture artificial versions of success. We can finance our dreams. We have bank systems and benefits and tools and manipulations out there to be able to feel more successful without having to become more successful. All the more making the shortcuts even seeming more elaborate and more fantastical. But they all come back to the same place. And that is the core of what you are resisting, what you are trying to avoid. And what's beautiful is it's not some rock wall. If you've seen Labyrinth, okay, one of my favorite 80s cult classic movies with David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, she starts out in this corridor on the outside of the labyrinth, just running and running and running and running, just assuming she's taking it for granted. She just needs to continue to put in effort. Just do, busy, and you're going to get to the center of the labyrinth. You're going to be able to create your dreams. You're going to be able to challenge your demons. You're going to be able to grow and become so much more. That's not what she needed to do. She needed to stop. She needed to take a look around. She needed to ask for some help. She needed to connect. First person she connected with was a worm with a funny accent. Don't get distracted by this, okay? This is a great opportunity in our lives to consider. Some of us have been running down this corridor endlessly, and we'll stop and just go, but I'm so grateful that I have this corridor to run in. I'm so grateful for the soft breeze that's coming through. Let's start running again. No, let's stop doing this. Take a break, ask for some help, connect with some people, and realize that what you have been resisting looks like a wall. But similar, and if you haven't seen the movie, it's going to make so much more sense when you watch it. As soon as she walked towards the wall, she saw the door. She saw the ways that she could turn and go to the next level of your life. Oftentimes when we are taking all these elaborate shortcuts and all these other things, it's because we've assumed that we ran into a wall and we don't have the tools to be able to break down the wall, to break through the wall. The breakthrough doesn't come from our aggression. It doesn't come from our desire to tunnel under it or to run around it. It comes from the surrender of walking into it. When she does what looks like walking into the wall, walking into what we resist, suddenly doors open up. The benefits, the advantages, the determination gets unleashed. That's the power of gratitude. Because if we don't use gratitude correctly, we're going to stop. We're going to catch our breath. We're going to be totally oblivious to our surroundings and just go right back to running down the corridor endlessly, never ending. And we're going to miss the people there are to connect with every step of the way. And we're going to miss the things that we're resisting and trying to run away from, but telling these incredible stories about why we're doing that. Because that's what it comes down to. Life, as Wesley taught us in Princess Bride, is pain. So here's life. This is pain. You don't get to avoid the pain. In fact, as Bunny just said, if you resist it, if you avoid it, it gets worse. Okay? You avoid the pain, you resist the pain, it gets worse. It gets bigger, which requires even bigger shortcuts, which become even bigger frustrations when you wind up right back where you started when you started resisting it and avoiding it. We use gratitude to get grounded, to be able to walk into the obstacle, to be able to walk into what we're resisting, to be able to see the way through it. That's what we're trying to do here. So here's life, here's pain. Here's this tipping point. We have the opportunity to choose, okay, I'm going to take this pain and I'm going to choose to avoid it, which means I'm going to need stories to justify the avoidance. I can't just avoid it for the sake of avoiding it. I need to justify the avoidance. So I'm going to take the pain and I'm going to attach stories to it. And these are painful stories. These are justified stories. These are victim stories. These are reasons and excuses. And we've just gotten more and more elaborate, more bedside manner and etiquette in how we present them so that we don't get called out. But they're still stories. If we choose the stories, we choose to negate the other option. We choose to block the advantage of the pain. Here's life, here's the pain. We can choose stories to avoid. We don't avoid the stories, we avoid the pain because of the stories. Or we can choose the lessons. We choose the lessons. We can't do both. You can either choose the stories that pain creates, or you can choose the lessons. If you choose the lessons, there isn't room for the stories, the excuses, the justifications, the rationalizations. If you choose the stories, there's no room for the lessons. There's no benefit. There's no advantage. There's no determination to act by choice. There's just this never-ending loop of being able to explain why your life sucks, of being able to explain why you weren't able to be successful in that, of being able to explain why those people reacted to you like that, or whatever it is. But we get the opportunity to let go of explanation and be able to start being taught. And you can't be taught in the parking lot. You've got to be taught in action. You've got to be taught in movement. You've got to be taught in taking enough action, having enough forward motion that you can be guided, but not so much that you cannot be stopped, okay? Because there are times that we're going to want to take a sharp turn. There are going to be times that we're going to want to be ready to hit the brakes. And the faster you go, the more dangerous that becomes. But if you're just in the back seat and you're just telling stories and justifying, we're missing the harnessing of the power of gratitude. And so we've got this pain. We choose to tell stories and to avoid, or we choose the lessons, okay? And the block in the middle that allows us to be able to stay on the side of the lessons is the gratitude. If we choose the gratitude, it allows us to put all of our energy into the lessons, because few things can diffuse the stories better and more effectively than gratitude. So for those of us who have found ourselves caught up in the stories, which would probably be most of us on this call, including myself, I'm discovering new stories every day as I choose to embrace the pain. It's not just, I choose to embrace the pain and the stories just disappear. No, I choose to embrace the pain, and now I need to detach them like those burrs that get all caught up in your shoelaces when you went hiking off the trail for just a few minutes. We need to detach them and pull them out, and the only thing that can make that worth it is being totally present because of gratitude, so that we can detox from the stories. And it's not always pleasant to detox from the stories, because you didn't tell them just for funsies. You attach to the stories to survive. You attach to the stories to protect yourself for whatever reason you needed, from what you experienced as a child to what you've experienced older in your life, or any of those things, any interpretations. The stories didn't feel like they were detracting, like they were taken away from you. They felt like grabbing onto a life raft while you're out in the middle of a raging ocean, that you needed them so you didn't drown. But they don't actually get us anywhere. So let us have some appreciation, some gratitude, even for the stories. Gratitude for the stories can even diffuse the stories because they got us to this point. We needed them to get through some storms. We needed those justifications. We needed those rationalizations so we didn't go crazy, so we didn't just totally self-combust. But now we get the opportunity to choose creation. And this is not a one-time thing. This is not, oh yeah, I went through this last year, Paul. I had these stories, and now I'm choosing the lessons. No, every day and every moment of every day brings a new version of this. A new version of pain, a new story, a new lesson. And personal development is your choice to go, oh, I can feel the desire to tell the story. I'm going to choose the lesson. It is harder up front, but it gives me the advantage. It gives me the determination. It allows me to find the readiness to act no matter how long it's been since I had the feelings to do so. That is the power of gratitude. That is the opportunity to build the habit of gratitude. Too many of us have, I bet most of you have experienced this, okay? That so many of you have experienced this dynamic of the stories and the lessons. Nope, I'm not going to give into the stories anymore, okay? I've gained a bunch of weight. I'm getting rid of the stories, and I'm now going to choose the lessons, okay? Some of us shut down the stories and then just do, but don't necessarily learn the lessons, so we get a result that we can't sustain. I'll say that again because that's important. Sometimes we get rid of the stories and we just do without the lessons, and we get a result we cannot sustain. We want to learn the lessons. You can mute the stories and still try to create a result, but the only way that we can sustain it is when we have internally aligned to the external result, and that's only done with the lessons. But we're talking about creating a habit for this. This is not a one-time event, people. It is not a one-time event. And you will have some pretty profound ones, and your brain will want to be like, whoo, glad we got that one over with. You got this. Nope. That was just the next mile marker. That was just the next step. But what we do know, and what we have studied in over 250,000 people, is if you will embrace this process, it will become less and less intimidating, less and less taxing. It will become more and more natural for you to start seeing this dynamic, to find this curiosity in this conflict, in this contradiction of life. And the more you do that, the less you'll be playing hokey pokey. Because there's too many of us out there right now playing hokey pokey creation. We got our left foot in, we got our left foot out, we got our left foot in, and we shake it all about, rather than just being all in with this particular lesson so we can learn its benefits, its advantages, to add to our determination, to add to our gratitude, to be that much more ready for the next one. And before we know it, it becomes as natural as one foot in front of the other, which there was a time in your life when that was very intimidating and very scary to just do that. To just put one foot in front of the other used to be one of the scariest things that you had to do. You just probably don't remember it because you were 18 months old. So let us not forget that as easy it is to just put one foot in front of the other, physically, just that act used to be the scariest thing that we tried to take on. Just putting one foot in front of the other felt like we were going to land on our face and wreck something. It was scary, but exciting at the same time. And it was our persistence to it, and it was those around us cheering us on. Gratitude and all these things, a community to support you cannot be understated. Okay, it hit me a week or two ago, and I want to share this, that you'll want to surround yourself with people in life that are not trying to change your path. You want to surround yourself with people that allow your path to be okay, so that you can figure this out, so that you can learn the habits of these discoveries and these experiments and this huge laboratory that is life. So I hope that this week, as you give thanks, that you find the fuel that is gratitude, the weapon that is gratitude, and the patience to take on this pain, story, lesson, one step at a time, so that you don't wake up and realize you opted for a bunch of shortcuts only to end right back up to learning the same lesson you would have wanted to patiently learn in the first place. Love you all. I appreciate your support of what we do here at Habit Finder. I appreciate the people on here that mean more to me than they could ever imagine. And you know who you are. And those that I hope to get the opportunity to work with in the future. And the meaning that you have and your value, your pricelessness. It is an honor this time of year to reflect on the work that my father and I get to do. It is humbling to consider the place we get to go where people really live and what's really going on in their world. And to patiently work through to find those who are actually ready to do something about it. And to make sure that we are within an arm's reach of those that may not have been ready that we interacted with before, that are ready now or will be ready shortly in the future. But this is your journey. This is your path. And it's about you taking things one step at a time. So thank you so much. Thank you for the comments that are coming in. Thank you for your support, for your love. I get to do what I do because of what you're willing to do for you. And as you discover when you do that, what it ends up getting to do for so many others. What a way to live. What an opportunity to serve for all of us. And our minds are that fulcrum to be able to open up more of our potential, to give others permission to do the same. So I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. Love you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great end to your November, and we'll see you on December 1st. Take care.